Hello. Yeah. Yes, it's working, I think. So this is the Google Hangout session on all about APIs. It's a kind of a session one. Um, right. So I've been thinking about creating a forum where people who are interested in learning APIs or people who are experts in this area come together, share the knowledge, share the opportunities, express the concerns on which the industry is going around tools and some of the accelerators. Oh, that's my son. Say hi, Arya. Say hi. Okay. So I'm actually going live from my conservatory, so please be mindful of this. Um, Fine. So I have invited few of the guys who have shown interest in LinkedIn, but I'm mindful of the fact that this is Saturday morning, 9:30 UK time, and most of the guys who expressed interest are from different time zones. So I can appreciate the fact that people would join the Hangout session, try to contribute, or they may not. So that's fine. So I will make sure that from the next session onwards, I'll get at least one or two guests. Okay, now we have got a viewer here. Hello. Hi. Let me go to the YouTube session, YouTube video, and then let's see whether I can ask them to join in the um, let's see if we can do that or not. Okay, there are two people watching. I'm just asking whether they can join in Google Hangout session, guys. You can contribute also. I shall paste the link here. Just give me a minute. I will paste the link for the guys here, just for the purpose. Right. Okay. So let's go to the Hangout. I hope you guys will be joining in the Google Hangout, and so that we can have some meaningful discussions. Otherwise, I don't want this to be a monologue where I just talk and then you will be um, just listening. So let's see whether it works or not. Okay, fine. Um, let's start with some of the. I have been collecting some questions from my, from some of the guys, who like to discuss such subjects. Right. So one of the question is, what is API? It's a very very basic question. What is API? Um, right. So let's see whether somebody joining. Okay, I think none are joining the Google Hangout session. That's okay. Um, that's fine. Let's go to this. Okay. Right. So, what is API? So API is a short form or acronym for application program interface. So it's an interface, as you know, interface is something which interacts with, right? So what is, how do you interface with people? By talking, by body language. So it's a more of you coming out and sharing what you think, what you have information. So you are actually sharing it. At the same time, you interface with people by listening, right? So ears are there for listening. So their information you actually observe and keep it with you, and you respond to that. That's how the interface between humans happening. So how do the interface with systems application will happen, right? So applications are multi-components. So one, you have a database, you have screens. So the interfacing with the application will happen, might be through a screen, a UI, so that the users can interact and interface. And the data will be stored in the database. You directly go to the database and you interact with the database at the data. So that's another way of doing it. Now we want to make that's the kind of traditional way of interacting with your application. So how do we actually okay, so we got one more viewer here. Guys, I'm requesting you to join the Google Hangout session so that you will come and talk here. Okay, so it's not about me, it's about you, it's about we contribute to this subject. So please join the Google Hangout session. I'll be really open up this forum to you. Okay, so you are the heroes. Okay, so please come and join and talk about your experience, your challenges, your questions, your answers. That is what this all about. Okay, coming to this API again. Now what if I give a program, so you don't need to know how I have designed my application. You don't need to know my table structure. You don't need to know my column names. You don't need to know how I actually normalized my data. You don't worry about anything, you know. So what I will give you, I will give you a kind of a structure. I will give you a contract. Okay, so what you do is you adhere to that contract. You, and I will give you multi options in that. Okay, what you want to do with my application? Are you interested in some data, or you are interested to share some data with me? What is that you want to do with my application? You tell me, or I can think of all possible things you can do with my application, and I will be able to provision that contracts for my application, and I will share it with you. So by doing that, you know what, the contract gets formed, and you can come use the contract and then start integrating with me. So I have written some small pieces. I mean, when I say I have written, I think the APIs are nothing but a small pieces of code which actually receives information, do something with it, and then send information back. So what we call it a request and a response. So that's all the API in a very, very simplest form. So let me go to the Google session and see, you know, guys, are you there? Can you join the Google Hangout, please? Okay, so coming back to our chat. Right, now that's API. Yeah, I've told you about this. So is it so complex? Is the APIs are so complex? You know, it has become so simple now to write an API. It has become so simple, and the tools are there. There are some softwares are there which makes the life so easy to expose or to expose your application and your data to the third parties, to the people who are interested in. Um, then, are all applications have APIs in it? Not necessarily. Okay, because if you take an enterprise, a bank or something, who are the users of the bank? People like you and me, who actually work with the bank, and you deposit money, you withdraw money, you deposit check, you withdraw check, or you transfer money from one party to another party. You can do whatever you want with the bank, right? And what are the interfaces they're giving you? They're giving you a mobile application, they're giving you a website, they're giving you or telephone banking. These are the various interfaces that banks are providing to people like you and me to interact with the bank, right? So, and here the banks, the way they're thinking is, they want to make that interaction common across the platforms. So either it is mobile or web or telephonic. So they want to have, they don't want to write a code where mobile directly talking to the bank database. They don't want to write a code where the web internet banking directly talk to the database. They don't want a bank. They don't want a solution where a telephone banking or telephone system directly talking to the database. So if they do that, then they need to maintain the codes in web separately, mobile separately. I'm talking about interface with the banks, and the telephone thing separately. So the user experience might be different, but the actual interactions can be common, and the kind of features they want to expose to various mediums like this can also be common, right? So that is all about. So now why I'm telling this is, so banks are now coming up with APIs, and to create an account they create an API, to close an account they create an API, to do a direct debits they create an API, to do a standing order they create an API, to withdraw some money, not the physical money that you need a teller machine to do that, but the systems which actually checks the balances and then reduces your account balance and all the stuff, they create an API. So all these functions of a bank are now becoming as a small interfaces, right? So once you have that, anybody, any application like a mobile app can directly talk to API, can, if a web can directly talk to an API, a telephone that can directly talk to an API, and also the branch applications can directly also talk to API. So everything, the actual banking system, the core banking system, will completely become independent, and the interface to the core banking systems are through APIs. So that's how the industry is going. But it's going to take, some of the leading banks are already ahead of the game, but there are some banks who are very traditional banks, legacy banks. They are very slow in adopting this model. Please understand that all these banks have been building these systems for years and years and years. It's a complete legacy system. Okay, I am not blaming them. It has to be like that, because as the industry move on, they keep on changing the system, adding stuff more and more and more and more. And to change one thing, it's going to cost a lot, because they don't know what is there in it. Okay, because those days the documentations are not so matured. People will do the change as they like. There are no proper governance, there are no proper assurance. So if the guys have been working there for years, the knowledge won't be there. So this is why all this getting complicated. Okay, so as much as possible, most of the banks are actually enabling. these features so that they want to get ahead of the game, and by doing that they can explore multiple avenues in terms of digitization, creating mobile or even watch application, tomorrow what not, right? So you can do banking through whatever way, like say now itself the banking has become so easy. So it's going to become more and more easier, and the customer experience going to be becoming great as such, right? So having said that, now let's go to another interesting question, which is what is a SOA? Okay, so what is a SOA actually? So SOA is an architectural principle. So it stands for service oriented architecture. So is it SOA is an API basically? Um, no, SOA is an architectural principle. So the way they previously the architecture principles, client server architecture, right? So you have your client, which can be your screens, and your server, where you can create servlets and all that, and then you can integrate with that, or you can directly integrate with the database like that. So now what has happened is, as part of SOA, they wanted to they wanted to modularize, componentize these whole applications by business function. Okay, so by what do I mean by that is, um, okay, you have an enterprise. Take an enterprise where you have sales organization, you have finance organization, you have an HR organization, you have marketing, you have support functions, and you have administrations. There are so many divisions within an organization. So why can't we modularize the applications by these departments, by these functions, and then a sales application will be in that particular domain, then HR will be particular in that particular domain. So you are going to create domains across enterprises, and have the systems respect to that, and also you have an opportunity to create the interfaces for that particular applications. So anybody who wants to create a general ledger entry, instead of directly going into the finance database and writing an entry, they will interact with the finance service and provide and give that information. Anybody who wants to create an employee, right? Or only HRs will create an employee, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is, if there can be multi application integration. For example, HR needs to provide data to payroll, right? Finance. So how both are going to integrate? So these two departments. So how do they share the data? So again, should finance go and directly talk to HR database and get the information, or HR as an application should be able to provide the necessary information as a service to the payroll? Okay, so these are the kind of funda basically, and by doing this, by doing this, the whole architecture, there's an opportunity to make more scalable. When I say scalable, tomorrow you have some other department wants to talk to HR. You already have an HR application, you already have interfaces to that HR application, so anybody can just onboard to that interface and then actually access it. So these applications, they don't need to worry about how the HR application is designed, how the whole database is there, all that stuff. So it has become scalable, right? Then tomorrow, then another thing is called loosely coupled. So loosely coupled, what I mean is, tomorrow if I change my HR application from, I don't want to pick up any product, but from product A to product B. If that happens, then the finance they don't need to worry about it, because they are not directly talking to the HR database. Because if you change the product, the database might change, the data model might change. So by making loosely coupled, by abstracting the implementation details of an HR, what you are achieving is both the systems are independent to each other. So you can easily replace one application without impacting the other, provided that the interface, the integrations are all standardized. Okay, so that's why enterprise architecture group are very much interested in creating enterprise services. So enterprise services are nothing but web services where you actually create enterprise standard. When I say enterprise standard, it means it has to provide an enterprise function. Enterprise functions can be creating a employee, then paying them, that is an enterprise function. Placing a order is an enterprise function. Making a sale is an enterprise function. So these are all the enterprise functions, and you create services for those enterprise functions. And anybody wants to make use of the enterprise functions, they can integrate with. So that's the interest of the enterprise architectural group. And so they are very much interested in making sure whatever the teams do adheres to that enterprise principles, enterprise functions. Then is it reusable? So all the stuff, they make use of it. Okay, so it's in a very just brief manner I was talking about SOVA. Then there is another there are various SOVA tools available in the market. So I come from Oracle Fusion middleware, which is a SOVA platform. So it comes with multiple components like um, Oracle Service Bus. Then it comes with people. It comes with BPM. It comes with IDAM and all those features basically. Okay, so and also MuleSoft is another leading tool where they provide the similar functions. And software AG, webmethods, I think they provide a similar thing. IBM provides a similar platform. And there are some other things like Akana. So there are various providers, Axway. So there are various providers who gives this features basically, and the tools. Okay, right. Now coming to another question I was asked. So what is enterprise service bus? So enterprise service bus is, as I was telling, enterprise services are nothing but enterprise functions. Okay, so just have it as a thing. Now service bus is a tool where actually you host all these enterprise functions in that. Okay, and these enterprise functions will actually interact with the enterprise systems. Like enterprise function to create an employee will interact with enterprise function HR, enterprise system HR. Enterprise function creating an order which interact with enterprise system order management. Okay, so enterprise function to capture a lead will interact with enterprise system customer relationship management, CRM systems. Okay, so this is a very basic thing. right? So this tool, Enterprise Service Bus, where it actually hosts all these enterprise functions in it. Now, anybody who are interested and authorized, unauthenticated, can come and use this enterprise functions. They don't need to worry. It's a one-stop shop for getting this. Okay, I hope you understand. Um, right, just a sense check. Unfortunately, we are getting the viewers, but not sure they're not able to join in the Hangout session. So I will be I'm going to do this going forward, okay, from the next session onwards, whenever in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to make sure I agree with a participant that he will be here and he is going to come and talk on this, okay. And we are going to have some kind of an interview style that will make more interesting. Otherwise, I have got some questions, I'm talking, it's a monologue, which I don't like, okay, and that is not this forum is all about. Okay, so okay, now let me finish. But we have started this session. I promise that I will have this session for 1 hour. We already had crossed 30 minutes, and I will make sure that uh, there are some subjects I've noted down. We can talk for another 30 minutes. Now coming to that enterprise service bus side. Okay, right. Okay, so enterprise service bus, as I was telling, is a tool where the enterprise functions are hosted, which interacts with the enterprise systems, right? In a very simple way, anybody who is interested and authorized, unauthenticated, can come and leverage these enterprise functions, but using this tool, enterprise service bus. Got it? Now, another interesting thing. Um, what this enterprise service bus does is it abstracts the enterprise systems. Very true. That's the whole point of this enterprise function is all about you abstract. It means you don't need to worry how the enterprise system is implemented. Either it is implemented using VB6, is it Java, is it JSP, is it some is it some ERP tools like SAP or Oracle Fusion apps or anything. You don't need to worry. Okay. So this enterprise function will abstract the enterprise system and give you the functionality you wanted. Very simple. Okay. Then when you do the abstraction, it's also loosely coupled because uh, so why I'm saying loosely coupled is if the payroll is very closely related to HR, but both the enterprise functions are independent of each other. Okay, so tomorrow if you take down this um, if you take away the enterprise system HR and replace with some other HR system, the payroll is not impact because the payroll system, the payroll function, enterprise function, is interacting with the HR enterprise function only. They are not interacting with HR enterprise system directly. So it is becoming a loosely coupled. Okay. It also provides features like authentication, unauthorization. Security is very important because all our enterprise data, as you know, with GDPR, which is General Data Protection Regulation, which came effective in May 2018 in UK and EU, is very strict. It wants to make sure that the enterprise data and the customer data you hold inside your enterprise are safe and secure. So security is far more important for enterprises. They have all banks or all big enterprises have a separate information risk department and or information security department, and their main day job, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So their main job is to make sure they protect the enterprise data against hackers. Simple, right? not simple in terms of protecting, but simple in terms of the role, right? Right. Okay. Coming in terms of this security. So this enterprise service bus tool gives you that feature in terms of authorizing and authenticating the people who are in the systems who are interested in leveraging in actually using this data. You got it? Right. Then another thing which the enterprise service bus feature does is they throttle. So when you say throttle, it's like funneling or queuing, something like that, right? So if it's too crowded, what's going to happen? The system is going to break, right? So, and it's no use for anyone. So what this enterprise service bus tool provides a feature is they make sure that you can only serve uh, 10 people at one same time because you have only 10 counters, something like this, some kind of funda. That's the whole reason for queuing, right? So you actually throttle. When I say queuing, is not the technical queuing I'm talking about, is the general principle of queuing, because you have the counters where the people serve you, and you can't have more than one person in the counter. uh, Otherwise, if one person can only deal with one person at the same time, right? So that's the whole purpose of throttling the queue, or throttling the people in a queue mechanism, right? So that's how the whole system works. So throttling is there to actually make sure the system is not overcrowded and die. Simple, right? Okay, so these are the various features of enterprise service bus. So Oracle Fusion middleware provides Oracle service bus. Okay, now what up? Okay, so now that is ESB. Now there's another concept called microservices, right? So microservices are again, so what is this microservices? It's becoming more confused nowadays. What is microservices? What are APIs? What is SOA? What is web services? So there's getting too many terms. So what are these basically? All right. So microservices, you have to call it as microservices architecture. Okay, it's an architectural principle. Microservices are not APIs. Guys, understand this. Microservices are not APIs. APIs, as I was telling you, is a single piece of code, provides the interface with an application. Very, very simple. No, it's not a rocket science. Okay, you give me input, I'll give you output. Done. Okay, now that is your API, right? Then what is this microservices is all about? So microservices, you have to add one more word called microservices architecture, right? Now in the SOA architecture, right? I was telling you that all these applications, enterprise systems, enterprise functions are actually identified and they created, but there are monolithic in nature. So what is this monolithic mean? Okay, so the way we have been developing the application is it's a one big gigantic application hosted in a server, and that will okay, so for example, if you take a web application, a e-commerce application or a web banking application or something like that, the whole UI has been packed into one big one big module, right? Then all the integrations are packed in one big module. Okay, so though the integrations are individually identified, it's all part of a single hosted in a single server. If the server goes down, everything dies. Okay, I think that's an interesting way of knowing a monolithic architecture. Okay, if your server goes down, everything dies. Your business stops. Monolithic architecture. Okay, I can't put it more simple than this. Now, for example, enterprise functions. All these enterprise functions, as I was telling you, hosted in ESB, which is again hosted. ESB is a tool, right? It's again hosted in Oracle. I'm talking about Oracle. It's all hosted in WebLogic. It's a web server, all the stuff. Okay, or application server and all that. Right now, WebLogic goes down. All the enterprise functions die. You got it? So in this case, system A won't be able to talk to system B and vice versa. Because all the enterprise functions for all the enterprise systems are hosted in one single web or application. Okay. And if that application server goes down, the whole business stops. Monolithic architecture. Done. Now, then what is this microservices architecture? Okay. In a very, very simple word. If the server goes down, other functions, only the functions hosted in that particular server goes down, not the others. So what does it mean? It means you are going to create multiple servers for each enterprise function or related enterprise functions. For example, HR enterprise systems exposing HR functions will be having its own server, its own enterprise functions, its own backend, all in a single place. Okay, if I can show you, I'm trying to draw for you. Okay, just give me a minute. So ESB. So you have HR module. You have got payroll. You have got order. You have got customer, and they talk to HR application. They talk to payroll application. They talk to order management application. They talk to customer application. Then all talk to a single database. Hopefully you can see it. Not sure, guys. This is SOA. Yeah, monolithic. You know why? One failure point, database. You got it? I'm not saying this is how it is, but one variant of SOA I am just drawing. So monolithic, one failure point. Database goes down, whole business goes down. Right? Now, another failure point, ESB. If this goes down, none of the enterprise functions will be available, and this can't talk to this can't talk to this can't talk to this. If you have different interfaces to this, that might work. I'm not saying no, but any inter-system application, inter-system interface won't work. So that is so in a very, very simple way. Okay. Now I'm going to try to draw your microservice architecture. Okay. Just giving you a small example. So you have server one, which has got HR functions, HR system, HR database, server two, payroll function, payroll system, payroll database. And there can be some integrations here, right? Similarly, you have order, you have other bits. So if HR goes down, only the integrations that dependent on HR will be affected, not the order, because it's completely hosted elsewhere. Okay, let's assume this is order here. So this is completely hosted elsewhere. So it doesn't get impacted because it's differently hosted. You don't worry about HR function. So this is the microservices architecture. So microservices, it's completely independent of other functions. It just, and it has its own server, its own resources. So that's another thing. So for example, HR system, how um, how critical is it compared to sales? If a HR application is down, you won't be able to update. I'm just giving an example. You won't be able to update address of an employee, right? If telephone number, details like that. Probably um, performance appraisals will be a bit delayed. So these are the various performance appraisal period is one time where HR applications will be much more traffic. Now sales, how critical is it for an enterprise? So in the SOA architecture, since all are hosted in the same place, all the services share the same resources, same memory. If my sales, if the HR and the sales, if the HR and sales, let's say during the peak time where performance appraisal, HR system will be so busy. At the same time, my sales is also always busy. So my sales system, my sales function, sales system will take a hit on the performance because of something else which is completely independent of each other, right? So in the microservice architecture, since it's a completely completely independently hosted, you can provide less resources to HR function during the different time, and then move those resources to the sales system, right? And only during the peak time of the HR you can add extra memory with all cloud, with all this cloud infrastructures. It's very easy. during that time alone, you actually add extra servers to the HR so that it picks up that seasonal cost is there. So this is the advantage of this microservice architecture. Now, is it easy? Um, should we do it? Again, do you really need a microservice architecture if you're a legacy enterprise? So nowadays, all these big apps like Amazon and Twitter and Facebook and all these technology companies are moving into this microservices architecture. For example, Amazon, when you buy a product, it recommends you based on your interest. So that recommendation system, it's has its own algorithm, it has its own function, it has its own system. So if the recommendation system is down, Amazon is not stopping the sale, microservices architecture, right? Then you have a customer feedback system, a customer rating system for this particular product. So that's very important because people see the rating to buy it. So you need to keep some important information. So these are all the various add-ons, plugins, which are not very important to the actual core function of this. All this can be made as a microservice architecture, right? Okay, so now, but if you take a bank, um, for example, if you are checking the balance is very important, but you might just, if the payment system is down, you don't need to actually stop your internet banking. So that's again, there's an opportunity for a microservice architecture there. So you can have a payment interface or something all into, it's a plugin, a widget, or whatever it is. There's an opportunity to think kind of a hybrid microservice architecture, because with all that with all the old monolithic in the back end, there is only some ways of doing microservices architecture flavor in the front end only. Okay, but if you're creating a greenfield things like that, you can look at the opportunity. But again, if it is your physical infrastructure hosting inside your enterprise, you might have to rethink. If it's all cloud, it's going to be easy because on a few clicks you will be able to host a server, add a server, increase the memory. All that can be possible. So, and you can host that application in that particular server. So it's a very much possible to look into that. But talk to your architects. They will be in a better situation to know your business and consult you on that. Okay, I think this is okay. This being the first session. Again, unfortunately, no one joined us in the Hangout. So next time, I'm just going to book somebody's time as a formal interview, and I will come with them in the session, and it's more of a interactive sessions. So that will be more useful. So that's going to be the format going forward, not just a monolithic. Again, it's not monolithic. It's just mono conversation. So conversation should be both ways. What is, this is not just me talking. Okay, right. So that's it from my end. And if you are catching up this video, I think you'll find it useful. Just add your comments. Follow me in LinkedIn. So what I will do is I will go in the video down, in the video description. I will provide all these links to my social media, whatever, and you can follow me so that you will know when the next session will come in, all the stuff. Okay, so see, basically why I'm doing this is just for sharing this APIs over web services, microservices. it's very close to my heart, with so much data that's coming in, like open data, open banking, so all and everybody creating APIs. So it is, and with all the cloud and API gateway and all that, so it is becoming much easier to in this field. So so I will be very interested to learn something from you, your experience, your challenges, so we can contribute. Okay, so it's the whole purpose of this forum. Let's see how it goes, and then have a good weekend for you guys, and say bye.